One life, one love, one fish. We will change the world.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of One Fish. I'm sure you've seen the thumbnail already because you clicked on it and that's what got you here. So can AI, as in ChatGPT, design the world's most advanced aquaponics system built all from parts from basically your regular Home Depot? So come inside the computer. Let me show you what I'm working on. Let's try to solve some real world problems and make these aquaponic systems and deliver them to communities in need. Let's check it out. So I gave ChatGPT a few options. A, it has to sit in a 7 by 14 frame, the swimming pool, that's 3 feet high. It has to produce as many fish as it possibly can within a 6-month period. And also it has to grow as many vegetables as it can to be turned over every 30 days. It came up with some pretty interesting stuff that I kind of knew and stuff that I didn't know, but together we're going to make the perfect aquaponic system. So listen, I need you to like, share, and subscribe. Send this to as many people as you can because I want to build these aquaponic systems all over the world. Literally, schools, daycares, orphanages, anywhere that food is in need, I want to be building these. I'm trying to create a sustainable future. So like, share, and subscribe. And also in the link below, if you feel like you might want to donate some, I have it all set up so you'll just be able to click the donate. And I would love for you guys to help me out. That would be amazing.
One fish. We will change the world.
If you caught the last video, we talked about what aquaponics are. So now let me introduce you to the Gen-3 unicorn. Let's start with the foundation of the entire system, the fish tank. The Gen-3 unicorn uses a large above-ground rectangular pool measuring approximately 4.5 meters long, 2.2 meters wide, and about 0.84 meters deep. At normal operating levels, this tank holds between 6,000 and 7,000 liters of water, depending on how high the water line is kept. The tank itself is made from a reinforced liner supported by a steel frame structure. This design keeps the system lightweight, affordable, and easy to transport while still being strong enough to handle thousands of liters of water. With proper care and protection from direct UV exposure, the liner can realistically last 5 to 10 years, while the steel structure can last much longer with minimal maintenance. Inside this tank live the catfish, the biological engine that powers the entire farm. At moderate stocking levels, the system can comfortably support around 200 to 300 fish, while more advanced operation can push closer to 400 catfish when filtration and oxygen levels are properly maintained. Each day, hundreds of fish produce significant amounts of organic waste. A fully stocked system can generate several kilograms of solid waste per day, along with dissolved ammonia. Instead of being a problem, this waste becomes the nutrient source that feeds the vegetables growing around the system. To manage this, the tank uses a solids lifting outlet, or SLO. This pipe draws water from the lower part of the tank, pulling heavier particles toward the filtration barrels before they can settle and create dead zones. This simple movement of water is the first step in turning fish waste into plant growth, and it all begins right here, inside the fish tank. After leaving the fish tank, the water doesn't go straight to the plants. The next stage of the Gen-3 unicorn is filtration, and this is where raw fish waste begins transforming into plant nutrients. The first stop is the radial flow filter. As water enters this barrel, the flow slows down dramatically. Instead of rushing forward, the water spins gently inside the chamber. This drop in speed allows heavy solids, uneaten food, fish waste, and organic debris to sink to the bottom of the filter. A purge valve at the base lets those solids be removed in seconds, preventing buildup inside the system. This step is critical because hundreds of fish can produce kilograms of waste each day. By removing heavy particles early, the Gen-3 unicorn protects the grow tubes from clogging and keeps the water clear before it reaches the biological stage. From the radial flow filter, the water moves into the moving bed biofilter, the living heart of the filtration system. Inside this barrel are thousands of small floating media pieces constantly tumbling in aerated water. Beneficial bacteria grow on the surface of this media. These bacteria convert ammonia, which is toxic to fish, into nitrite, and then into nitrate, which plants use as fertilizer. Air bubbles rising through the biofilter keep the media moving, ensuring that oxygen stays high and the bacteria remain active. This process is continuous and automatic. As long as fish are being fed, the bacteria keep working, turning waste into nutrients that will power plant growth. By the time water leaves the moving bed biofilter, it has gone from raw fish waste to clean, nutrient-rich solution, ready to be pushed upward through the system by the main circulation pump. And that is the transition point where biology meets engineering, where waste becomes growth. After passing through the moving bed biofilter, the water reaches one of the most critical components in the entire system, the main circulation pump. This pump is responsible for lifting clean, nutrient-rich water from ground level up into the vertical growing structure. For a system supporting hundreds of plants, the Gen-3 Unicorn uses a high-efficiency DC pump designed to move roughly 10 to 12,000 liters per hour under ideal conditions. In real-world operation, once height and plumbing resistance are factored in, the system typically delivers between 6 and 9,000 liters per hour through the grow tubes. Powered by the solar energy system, the pump runs continuously while maintaining low electrical demand, usually consuming between 70 and 90 watts. This balance between power and efficiency allows the farm to operate off-grid while still delivering strong water circulation. From the pump, water travels upward through a vertical manifold, the central backbone of the grow system. Think of this manifold as the main artery that feeds the entire structure. As water rises, it branches off into individual feed lines, each one supplying a specific row of grow tubes. Every row has its own inlet and outlet, which allows flow to be adjusted and balanced across the entire farm. This design ensures that plants at the top receive the same steady nutrient film as plants at the bottom, preventing dry spots and maintaining even growth. As the water spreads into the grow tubes, the Gen-3 Unicorn transitions from mechanical engineering into living agriculture, where plants begin cleaning and transforming the water before it returns to the fish. All right, now that we've covered the inlet manifold and the vertical outlet drains, the next step is what actually makes this whole system reliable long term, the structure that supports the grow tubes. These grow tubes aren't just sitting there. Once the plants mature, the root mass gets heavy, the water adds weight, and if the tubes sag or twist even a little bit, the flow changes. That causes pooling, uneven feeding, and eventually clogs, especially in a high-density system like the Gen-3 Unicorn. So step 6 is building the tube stack spine, basically the skeleton that holds every tube perfectly aligned from top to bottom. We use 2 support rails running the full length of the tube wall, a front rail that carries most of the load, and a rear rail that keeps the tube straight and prevents twisting. Every tube sits in a cradle or clamp point so it can't rotate, and the entire stack stays level. And here's the most important part. We designed the structure so each tube has a slight, consistent slope toward its outlet, just enough so water flows smoothly, but not so steep that it rushes past the roots. That slope stays locked in because the frame prevents sagging over time. This is what turns the system from "it works today" into "it works every day." The frame controls the geometry controls the flow, and the flow controls plant health. Now that the tube stack is physically supported and aligned, we can move to the next step, balancing and tuning the water flow to each tube row so every plant gets the same nutrient delivery. Now that the grow tubes are supported and aligned, the next step is dialing in the water flow to each individual row. This is where the Gen-3 Unicorn becomes a precision system instead of just a collection of pipes. Even though one pump feeds the entire structure, water doesn't naturally distribute itself evenly. Without control, the lowest resistance lines would take most of the flow, leaving some tubes flooded while others barely receive nutrients. To solve this, each grow tube row is equipped with its own adjustable inlet. Small ball valves or flow restrictors allow the water delivery to be tuned row by row. The goal isn't to push as much water as possible. It's to create a thin, steady nutrient film that moves smoothly along the bottom of each 2-inch PVC tube. Once adjusted, the system becomes incredibly stable. The upper rows receive consistent flow, the lower rows don't overload, and plants across the entire wall grow at the same pace. This fine-tuning stage only needs to be done once during setup, but it controls how the farm performs every day after. With the flow balanced, the Gen-3 Unicorn transitions into its most visually dynamic phase, where water begins feeding the plants directly and the tubes come alive with growth. With the water flow balanced and moving evenly through each row, the Gen-3 Unicorn enters the stage where engineering meets living growth, the grow tubes themselves. Each tube is built from 2-inch PVC and operates using a nutrient film technique. Instead of flooding the roots, a thin layer of nutrient-rich water flows gently along the bottom of the tube. This constant movement delivers oxygen, nutrients, and moisture all at the same time, allowing plants to grow faster while using very little water. Inside the tubes, roots hang freely into the flowing film. As water passes by, the plants absorb nitrate and trace minerals created by the fish and biofilter. Because the water is always moving, the roots stay oxygenated and healthy, preventing rot and keeping growth consistent across the entire wall. The Gen-3 Unicorn is designed to support hundreds of planting sites, typically around 450 plants, with the structure capable of expanding toward 800 depending on spacing and crop selection. Fast-growing leafy greens thrive in this environment, including lettuce, cilantro, basil, spinach, kale, and Asian greens. These plants prefer steady nutrient flow and respond quickly to the balanced conditions inside the tubes. Sunlight plays a major role at this stage. The vertical stacking allows upper rows to capture strong, direct light, while lower rows benefit from reflected light and cooler airflow. This layered design maximizes production without expanding the footprint of the system. As the plants grow, they begin performing one of the most important functions in the entire cycle, cleaning the water before it returns to the fish tank. Now that the plants have absorbed nutrients and the roots have filtered the water, the final stage of the Gen-3 Unicorn begins, the return flow back to the fish tank. Each grow tube has its own dedicated outlet, allowing water to drain vertically down through the return manifold. Instead of sending the water back quietly, the system is designed so the returning flow creates a gentle waterfall effect as it re-enters the tank. This falling water naturally pulls oxygen into the system, increasing dissolved oxygen levels without needing oversized air blowers. As the streams fall back into the tank, they create constant surface movement. That motion helps mix nutrients evenly, prevents stagnant zones, and keeps the fish environment active and healthy. Combined with the air pump inside the biofilter, this passive aeration strategy reduces power consumption while still supporting a high stocking density of catfish. And this is where everything connects. The fish feed the bacteria feed the plants, and the plants clean the water before it returns safely back to the fish. One continuous loop, powered by sunlight and controlled by simple engineering. From the tank, through filtration, up the manifold, across the grow tubes, and back again. The Gen-3 Unicorn operates as a living cycle. Water is reused, energy is conserved, and food is produced in a compact, scalable system designed to support real communities. And that brings us full circle. The Gen-3 Unicorn, a state-of-the-art aquaponics system where structure, biology, and solar power come together to create a sustainable future for growing fish and fresh vegetables. Based on the planting capacity, fish production, and continuous harvest cycle, A fully dialed in Gen-3 unicorn has the potential to help supplement fresh greens and protein for dozens of people, often estimated in the range of 20 to 40 individuals depending on harvest schedules and local needs. And this is just the beginning. In the next episode, come back and join me as we take this design off the screen and into the real world. We'll be live on location, building the system step by step, showing exactly how it comes together. At the end, I'll break down a full cost analysis so you can see what it really takes to build one of these. And for any group or organization that wants to help bring a system like this to a community in need, I'll share the details on how you can get involved and support the mission.
One life, one love, one feast. We will change the world.